Hi, everyone, and welcome to our listening session. It's really great to see all the people here, the Cameo community. I want to applaud everyone, our colleagues, our friends, everyone in the small business community for coming out in force today, supporting our tribe, helping our small businesses weather the crisis. What we're living through is unprecedented, and the ground shifting beneath our feet. We're trying to provide some stable ground here, and hopefully we'll get that all together. We know each of you're responding to the pandemic, and you're starting to implement programs and procedures to help your clients and serve our community. So we changed our webinar format to more of a listening session today. A few things I want to mention. Everyone is muted. You have control of your mute button. If you take your cursor, you drag it to the bottom, you should of the screen, you should see a menu bar. On the left is a mic icon, so you can toggle on and off. For now, let's keep you muted. And there's also a chat box. There's an icon, you know, with a little bubble that people put up there around their heads when you're drawing a cartoon. That's the chat icon. If you don't see it, there might be 3 dots and that says more, and just click on that 3 dots and there should be the word chat. We are recording. Feel free to share. We'll send everybody all people who registered a link as soon as we can. And we also have a few slides today for you that we will be sharing with you. And I am going to share my screen. There we go. Everybody should be seeing general info. I'll go a little bit over today's agenda. We'll do brief introductions virtually. We're going to hear a little bit about what Cameo's been doing, talk briefly about resiliency plans, talk briefly about some other resources, good jobs and paid leave situation. And then we're also, then we'll open it up to a listening session. We have a prepared about 15 minutes max for you. And then we will go into a listening session and have a discussion. All right, but before we get started, I want everybody, this is really Bay Area, but I know I could use this right now. And I think a lot of other people could use this. Everybody sit up straight in your seat. Just sit up, close your eyes, just bear with me for 30 seconds, and everybody take a deep breath and count to 4 in an inhale. Hold it for 2 and then exhale. So everybody inhale, hold, and exhale slowly. Let's just do that one more time. Hold and exhale slowly. It's been a crazy time. So without further ado, I am going to ask everybody to type into chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. And I'm going to ask people to type their name, their organization, and whether or not what kind of service provider they are, if they're a lender, a TA provider, or a funder, or a business owner, or some other type of organization. So if you want to just go ahead, chat your name. Whoa, Great. We have TA providers, someone from Trish from Jetty. Hi, Bates Sedek, welcome. Bob Komodo, welcome from the SBDCs. Not going to be able to read everybody. Meshe from Feed the Hunger, CDFI. Maribel from Inclusive Action for the City. Ingrid from Renaissance Center. Sanjana Seth from PCV, Pacific Community Ventures. The Cameo staff is all here. SBDC advisor, Kevin McClellan, thank you. John Hobson from Cielo, down in Southern California. Michelle, Inland Empire. Lewis Cadich Peck from Lending Club and on Cameo board. Celsa Stallworth from Hika FinCap Coach. I'm not sure what that is, but we'll look forward to hearing more about that. Edwin from Meta. Gloria Glasgow. She was the first person to sign in. Gloria, hi, from HICA. I believe that you might have gone to our one of our trainings, if I'm not mistaken. Marco Aguilar from Santa Cruz Community Ventures. Denise from Meso. I believe Meso is up in Portland. Yep. So welcome. Well, this is really great to see. It looks like we have a good mix of TA providers as well as micro lenders on the line. A couple of funders. Hi, Lisa from Friedman Family Foundation. Stacy Zelensky from CNote, welcome. We've got a couple of chambers of commerce on. So it's really, really great to see all of you on the chat. So thank you. For now, great. I'm going to turn it over to, I'm going to share my screen again and turn it over to Carolina to talk about Cameo's response. And Carolina, take it away.
Thank you, Heidi. And thank you, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. I know you are seeing a lot of webinars and events, and you're trying to figure out how to better respond and react under the circumstances. And as Heidi was saying, this is completely unprecedented. So we are all really trying to make the best out of what we got there. And from Cameo's perspective, we wanted to share a little bit about where we are. And also to hear from you really what you're hearing in the ground from your business owners and what are your needs. We've been talking with a few of you, and we want to have like a broader response and a broader idea of what's going on and how can we be of help. So today we do have also some of the funders. We've been approached by public officials, by funders trying to figure out how to better respond. And I think it's important for us to all come together to really discuss what it is a priority and what really needs to be happening right now. So far we are continue focusing on what our areas are that are of work from Cameo's perspective. We are doing a lot of the advocacy piece. As I mentioned, we've been talking with pretty much all the state and city officials. We've been in contact with the city of LA, with the city of San Diego, with the city of San Francisco, bigger ones, also with GoBees, and just making sure that we are always providing feedback about what are the initiatives that are happening right now and how could we be more helpful to disseminate and just multiply the impact of what they're putting together. We are also, and actually at the state level, we are going to be supporting, we're submitting a letter tomorrow, hopefully with another group of organizations to request more funding for the business, the small business technical assistance providers to really being able to broaden their impact. And I think it's very important to really, we have to be flexible. And one of the things that we've seen with our members is, yes, we have to comply with current grants, but also we need to be flexible to support the needs of the businesses right now. And that is going to require funding and flexibility from the funders and funding sources. At the federal level, we're also paying close attention about how we could support. We just signed a letter of support also with the Small Business Roundtable to include new things that we feel like are not included in the solutions that have been presented so far, like the inclusion of the tax exempt organizations in aid packages. That's something that has not been considered yet. But we are also talking about some grants to the small businesses to have capital access as possible, as fast and as cheap as possible. And also to make sure that all our consultants and our experts are available to talk to the business owners for them to really continue and just rethinking what their business model is right now that everybody is pretty much working from home and remotely. So there are several things that we would be happy to share with you, those letters that we are supporting right now. And we would like to hear from you later on about how we could enhance all these topics and all these ideas that we are discussing internally and with our partners to better represent and talk on your behalf. But we are very active on that. But we are also conscious that some of you, and this is something we've been talking for several months, and is that everybody's trying to move online and everybody's trying to understand how to better serve their clients right now. So we are also focusing a lot on the capacity building aspect. We put together 3 webinars. This is one of them. Yesterday we had one about understanding Sba Disaster Loans, and what it becomes something that might got little over 100 people became very, very demand webinar with over 2,500 people connecting. So we definitely find that there is a need for information and clear information about how to proceed. So we are currently working on a part 2 where we can really help you and your clients determine like their eligibility and their work to really focus on to see if it's even worthwhile to apply and where to apply to actually find funding for their business right now. We are having today the listening session, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about bringing TA online ASAP. So I know some of you have been moving to provide your services online and provide more webinars. But we want to make sure that if you're not ready, you are able to deploy classes and consulting services through online options. And part of what we would definitely like to hear today is what is needed for you to get there. And tomorrow you're going to learn, we're going to have a consultant that really is going to go with you through the process of moving online, but we want to support you. So feel free to reach out if you don't have the channel or the tools to actually provide those services online right now. Yes, Heidi?
Just to let everybody know, we will send a link to the blog post on the disaster loan. We will also send a link to register. I just popped it into chat to register for it. I think it has my information, so you might have to write over it. But the webinar link to register for their Bringing TA Online at ASAP tomorrow. And we're also going to be starting a class in April. We just haven't gotten the infrastructure up yet. But a class in April, a 5-week class that will be free through our Prime grant, like that we did in, I think it was November, might have been October, November, in the fall, last fall.
Thank you. So feel free to register for anything and just share this with your staff, with your colleagues. We're really trying to make sure that consultants are able to continue providing the services and responding to the clients with the current needs. We also have been compiling resources that you could definitely look into and share with your clients. You can, we're gonna share, it's in our website, and actually Heidi just popped it in chat. The link for you to look is an ongoing and constantly updating website where we are consolidating all the resources we come across to really work and refer your clients to, and maybe you apply. There is some loans free without any fee, without any interest, or there are some grants available for you. So it is if it is very interesting for you to look at these resources and just make sure that you are aware of what's happening around. And also, if you come across any other resources that are available or that you've heard, feel free to share that with us, and we'll be able to update constantly our website. And obviously, we've been continuing to do a lot of the virtual networking. We've been a convener, and that's something that we really enjoy, to connect the dots. So this is one example. We really want to be able to share what you're doing, best practices among yourself, with funders and with us, to continue growing the network. It does take a network, as we've been talking, to go through this moment. And as we are all trying to navigate working from home with kids, with homeschooling, working and supporting, I think it's a lot of challenges that we become really, we're going to become really good at, but it is something that we want to really share and make sure that that we are here, that you know that we are here to support you, even though we are not at the office or we're not meeting in person. Cameo's team is really open for businesses. We've been in permanent communication with most of you, and our cell phones are on for any comments or thoughts that you might want. So with that, we thought it would be really good to share with you something that has really helped us at this time. And I'm going to turn it over to Emily Gessner to share that experience.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Carolina. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We wanted to share just a brief example here of some resiliency planning that we were kind of forced to do actually over the summer. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but this photo we wanted to share because it's Carolina and I in the midst of our resiliency, so to speak. I know not right now is a very serious time and a very challenging time, but we're trying to find humor and light moments where we can, where appropriate. So this photo is of Carolina and I pushing some of our office supplies and laptops on a cart down Market Street in downtown San Francisco, due to a great challenge we had over the summer. If we go to the next slide, please, Heidi. Basically, there was a fire in the basement of our office building. And it happened while we were away at a conference in Chicago. We found out about it, and luckily no one was hurt, and everything inside our office was totally fine, but they closed our building for essentially 3 months, and we were only allowed to go in a few minutes here or there to kind of walk up the 7 flights of stairs because there was no electricity, in the dark with a flashlight, to get some of our most essential items. And even though it was a really hard time and it was super challenging to continue business as usual, I think it really helped in the sense that it really kind of jump-started a lot of the resiliency planning that we had already started, but really forced us to continue that and to just always be thinking about it so that we're ready and continually improving for future situations like the one that we're in today. So what we were doing before our fire was we did have a number of cloud-based solutions that we were using. For example, our Salesforce database. So it was even more important that we kept everything super updated in Salesforce and all the contact information updated, since we couldn't just talk to each other through the office and say, hey, what's that person's phone number? We used our Gmail emails accounts, of course. We were in the process of moving from QuickBooks, the desktop version, to online. And we were quite comfortable using Zoom because of connecting with members across the state and employees and consultants in different parts of the state, where we were really used to using Zoom as a way to connect with people. We also had our MMS Lift Fund microlending cohort, which was a cloud-based program that some of our members utilize to make their loans, and they all include online loan applications, which was really helpful that was all cloud-based. But the absolute biggest challenge was that all of our documents, really, most of them were all in paper file cabinets, to be honest, or some of them were digital, but a lot of them were in file cabinets. And everything that was digital, we had on a server inside the office. So the most important thing that we did, which really has been so wonderful to have now, is We moved everything off of our server and into a cloud-based option so we could use box.com now. And even before the fire, it was really hard for our employees to work remotely because we had to log in with VPNs, and the connection wasn't good. It would mess up our internet connection. We constantly had to have our IT people helping us to problem solve. And once we switched over to box.com, we had everything wherever we need it, anywhere where we had an internet connection. So that was something that was really, really beneficial for us. And we're so glad that we did it then, so that we could be prepared for today for all the work remotely. The other actions that we took were just thinking about other things that we needed to do and really fully moving to QuickBooks Online for all of our financial reporting and such. And just thinking through what our ongoing resiliency plans would be, because in today's day and age, that was just a random thing that happened in our building. But between, natural disasters and pandemics, you just never know where or when you'll be doing your work. We've also made an effort to make sure that every document, every single thing that we have lives on our box.com. So we always have access to it, rather than people just saving things on their their desktops and things on their computers. And just continually having organization-wide conversations around this. Heidi, if you could move to the next slide, please. And some of you may have already done all of these things, or you're thinking about doing them. So fast forward to now, we were really able to just in a few quick minutes one day say, okay, we're now, when the decision was made to work from home, we're ready to go. Here's just the few things that we need, and we feel very comfortable leaving the office knowing that we might not be able to go back there anytime soon. So it really helped us. It was a huge relief, I think, personally, and for all of us, that we had that ready to go. The next steps that we're taking really involve integrating even more technology resources and tools, things like Bill.com to pay the bills, Expensify for employee expense reports, and through our Prime grant with the SBA, we're building out a learning management system to bring all of our programs online. And as part of this, some of the other things that I've seen which are really helpful that I've done, for example, at Working Solutions when I was at that organization, was cross-training between employees who are even in different departments, as well as employees each having their own kind of operational plan that they've created. So if for some reason someone heads out on vacation even, or someone else has to step in for some reason, everyone is kind of ready to go and not scrambling to figure out kind of what that person did. Also creating department plans for larger organizations that have multiple departments, that kind of includes everyone's individual plans, is also super helpful. And making sure that job descriptions are updated at least annually for each person. And so these are just a few of the things that we're doing that are food for thought for you. And if we can do anything to help you during these times, or any additional resources that might be of help to you, please feel free to reach out or share resources that you've used yourself. So thanks, everybody. And now I would like to introduce Sanjana Seth of Pacific Community Ventures, who will be speaking next.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. So just as a background, I'm an analyst at Pacific Community Ventures. And for those of you who might not be aware, we are a community development finance institution. And we provide both lending capital and business advising to small business owners. And I'm part of Pacific Community Ventures research and consulting team. So we do consulting work for other CDFIs and other organizations, such as foundations, other investors, doing impact investing, as well as developing field building research. So I just wanted to take a few minutes today just to point folks towards some resources that we have compiled for small business owners that they can take a look at to receive some sort of immediate guidance, similar to what has been mentioned previously through Cameo as well. I know Cameo has developed a list of resources as well. So as we all know, we are seeing the effects of this pandemic on small business owners all around us, whether or not, businesses are closing for an unforeseeable amount of time in the future, and even those who aren't closing, seeing major hits to their bottom line. For example, restaurants relying more so on service delivery rather than other sources of revenue. So we're seeing it hit both business owners as well as the workers who rely most on this through their paychecks. So we wanted to compile a list of resources, and that link is on the slide that you see right now, which will be sent out after as well. So in this list of resources, we have some guidance on what small business owners can do in relation to paid leave. Although we understand that this is a larger policy issue, and we're seeing a lot of developments both on a federal and local level in relation to paid leave as well. The bulk of these resources are geographic-based resources, so we provide resources for small business owners across the United States, as well as more specific resources for California, as well as San Francisco and Oakland, as we do lend to businesses in California. I also want to point out that, as things are changing every hour, every day, we will be working to update this list to the best of our ability and to provide, the most tangible and practical resources as possible for small business owners that are facing this crisis. And just internally, our lending team has been working throughout this week to get in contact with our small business owner clients in our portfolio to ensure that they also have access to the resources they need during this time. I also want to point out another way that small business owners can get immediate assistance, and this is by connecting with a business advisor or a business mentor through our business advising platform. So this is great from the perspective of folks who want to do and engage in remote volunteering. Business advisors can volunteer on the phone, over FaceTime, even through email. And small business owners themselves can be immediately matched with experts, in finance and operations, in human resources, cash flow management, and any other areas that their business is particularly impacted by this crisis, by signing up through our platform as well. And we also want to highlight that these employer-advisor relationships can last, beyond the crisis, and this relationship can help rebuild businesses once they are back on their feet as well. So thanks everyone. I just wanted to point out that this that this resource list exists, and we'll continue to update this. Thanks.
Thank you, Sanjana. So I think, yes, we did see a couple questions that we are going to share this, but all of this, and Heidi just popped in the chat also the link to our list of resources available for you and your clients. But now we want to stop talking and really listening to you. And maybe Heidi, you could stop sharing your screen, and what, if you could unmute yourself when you're gonna talk, or just raise, I mean, I'm the ones that have video, I can see if they want to talk. The other ones might be a little more complicated, but we do want to hear from you about what steps have you taken right now to support your clients? What are like the priority needs that you are looking to do right now? So volunteers.
Well, oh, go ahead.
Is it all right?
Yeah, go ahead, Nathaniel.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So this is Nathaniel from Mission Economic Development Agency in San Francisco. We're focused on providing TA and lending to Latino small business owners. I'll be very brief because I know there's a lot of people on the call. We have a lot of ideas around how we're going to mitigate risk with our existing portfolio. It's probably almost certainly going to entail some form of either just blanket 90-day deferral of all of our loan payments, or deferral for almost all of our portfolio, in addition to some rapid economic relief loans for our existing borrowers. One of the things that we're doing though is we're taking a few days. We're taking a few days to call all of our existing borrowers, and we've developed a quick survey to have conversations with them and to collect data that will help inform our decision making around what steps we need to take. And then also have that data available to advocate at the local and state level around policy efforts that are needed. I want to just flag a couple things that others may be thinking about, and we think at Meta are like two high priorities for our state level policy efforts. One is support for sole proprietors who have no other employees, or sole proprietors who, maybe they were not paying themselves like a specific wage, and so they may not qualify for unemployment insurance. It seems like there needs to be an expansion of the definition of unemployment to include them. And then the second thing is around support for I-10 holders. Obviously, we know because of the federal administration, there's no way that there's going to be hardly any, if any at all, support for I-10 holders at the federal level when it comes to these massive economic relief efforts. And that means that it's incumbent on our state to step in and to fill those gaps. There's no way that our organizations just at the grassroots level are going to be able to support the needs of our I-10 borrowers just with our individual efforts. It really does need to be a state level effort to support the, I forget exactly how many, but there are more than 1 million I-10 holders and undocumented individuals in the state of California. So those are the two things that we're flagging. I did see Susan ask, can you share your survey? I will share it with Cameo and just share the questions that we're asking. I'll do it right after this call, and you can feel free to use it however you want.
Thank you, Nathaniel. And I think that's one of our also the concerns that we've had from Cameo. We do see that there are some solutions for a little bigger businesses, but definitely I-10 holders are not going to be included in the benefits that we've been hearing. So that's part of what we are trying to submit in the advocacy efforts, and we'd love to hear more about that survey that really could be helpful for all of us. Thank you. I have heard also you're not the only one that's saying about the 90-day deferral payments. And I'm curious if that's something that all the lenders are doing or are considering to do. Anybody else would share that? Okay, so maybe no, but we are also paying close attention to that. Thank you.
Carolina, can you see the hand raised?
No,
on
I
your screen?
cannot.
Okay. Chris L, I think that's Chris Lodgen from Sacramento. You want to unmute yourself and.
Yeah, that's me. Thank you. Looks like you can hear me. I'm Chris. I'm with Sac Black Biz and Max Reach. We do direct support for Black-owned businesses here in the Sacramento County region, including direct marketing support and all kinds of other support directed to the businesses. We are in a really bad spot. We've been setting up for the last few days information channels through our networking and our marketing platforms to share information about what resources are available to businesses. We have been working with the local small business administration to set up a webinar next week specifically for Sacramento's Black-owned businesses to talk about economic relief. We have a poll up, and we've been gathering stories from Black-owned businesses. I'm actually looking at the poll right now on our Facebook page, where we asked about negative impacts to Sacramento's Black-owned businesses. We've got 60 businesses responded, and a 90% yes, this is a negative, response. We've got dozens of stories about, orders dropping to zero, customers canceling, all kinds of really, really negative impacts. We've been also working to advocate to the city of Sacramento to expand its relief program. The city of Sacramento announced a $1 million economic relief program last week, but the way it's written, it will almost certainly exclude probably 90% of the Black-owned businesses here in Sacramento. They were requiring us to have physical establishments. They're requiring us they're issuing loans, and we think there should be grants, all kinds of really bad outcomes. So we're doing our advocacy work, we're doing our communications work, but we are in a really, really tough spot.
This is Maribel from Inclusive Action. So we similarly felt that our portfolio or the population we were serving was severely at risk. So last month we froze our loan payments just in preparation, and on a week-by-week basis, we've just been calling every single one of our borrowers, connecting them to resources that are available. So that may be legals. I mean, we've had anything from like questions on getting the emergency unemployment benefits. We also saw how undocumented folks were the most impacted. So we're right now in the process of creating our own emergency cash fund. So we will be dispersing small grants to street vendors that currently will not be benefiting from a lot of the other stimulus benefits that will be available to others. So I think we kind of are monitoring on a week-to-week basis, and we expect that we will have to do this for the ongoing weeks until things are a little bit better. So I'm not sure if ours will be a 90-day deferral. I imagine it might be a little bit longer depending on how we see the population that we work with is impacted.
So Maribel, you had another question into chat, and our advisors available to nonprofits. We're reimagining our current grants to see if we could support our local businesses. Caroline, I'm going to offer up Caroline. I'm sure Caroline would be happy to, talk to anybody, as well as Emily, as well as, I mean, if it's to deal with funders, that would be a good route. But I am 100% positive that your SBDC would also help you look at your services and programs. They're going to take a little different tact, so it just depends what you're looking for. And it has some Hispanic Chamber, which is the California Hispanic Chamber. We can forward the link to their call that they held. Yeah. Carolina, you just went out for me. Okay, I'm going to turn off my video for a second. I'm just looking at the chat and trying to address some of these questions here. So we'll get that link for the California Hispanic Chamber. And Chris, if you can get me the poll, I'll share that, the template of your poll. It seems like somebody wants a copy of that. We can share that with everybody. And then Caroline, I'm going to send it to you to talk about the advocacy efforts that somebody asked to create a deferment policy.
We have not talked about the deferment policy right now and the advocacy efforts, but it's part of, it could definitely be part of it. Part of the solution right now, it's been that loans might not be the best solution. What we've heard, and yesterday we heard about it at the SBA emergency disaster and economic injury loans, is they're actually waiting 5 months for start paying. That's good, but it might take longer for businesses to be able to pay. So it's something that we are also asking about, not only loans for businesses, but also grants that could help them through these times.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things here. one could be, I know at the local level, some municipalities like San Francisco are providing funding for emergency grants of up to, I think, $10,000. It's something that is going to need to be replenished like beyond an initial funding. And so municipalities should think about like how much they actually can end up budgeting for this. But with the loans, if we're creating specific loans that are highly flexible, one thing that we do need to also think about is whether we're going to create personal guarantees for those, especially if we expect major losses on those. Like one of the things that we're looking at is, or one of the things that's in the works is potentially receiving funding from from like our local government in San Francisco for an economic relief loan program. And so if that becomes just equity for our loan program, we are contemplating whether we want to actually require a personal guarantee, given that we would expect that a lot of clients will end up defaulting on this. You know, even with the maximum flexibility, normally we do require a personal guarantee and report it to the credit bureaus. But yeah, if we think that, you know, 40 or 50% of folks are going to default, and our goal is really just to get as many small business owners some cash as quickly as possible to like cushion the severity of this crisis for them, then maybe we don't want to require a personal guarantee, just so we're not setting up a bunch of small businesses for you know, harm to their credit on down the road, and for us to then have to go, you know, after them personally to try to get that loan repaid, especially if it's not going to actually hurt our bottom line if we're receiving all this money from grants anyway. So it's just something to consider.
Thank you. Thank you. Jessica, you had your hand raised.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to, I think this conversation has been good because what Chris said from Sacramento is very resonated with me, because at Main Street Launch, I support our African American Entrepreneurship Institute, and we're coming at these programs with a lot of information about Black wealth and what that really means. And a lot of people forget that before 9/11, there was a 2001 recession. It took about 5 or 6 years for Black households to recover. It took about 8 years to recover from 2008, similar to Latinos as well. And what I'm seeing, and there's the trust gap, so a lot of people are not going to take loans. So I think pushing for grants, even if they're small grants for our solopreneurs, for a lot of the businesses that are starting stuck, is something that I really want to push, or at least put out here, just because knowing what we know and working with my entrepreneurs, that's the only question that I'm getting. They don't want to know about the loans, they want to know about grants. We've kind of shifted our programming to how can we, in Stockton, our Oakland program just finished, but how can we work together to weather this finance? But I'm assuming if this is a true recession, it'll take 8 to 10 years to recover from it if it's as bad as I think it was. And I am saying this because I did racial wealth divide research in DC, so this isn't like coming from, I just read a book and now I'm an expert. I actually worked in this space. So it's just something to put out there and just to think about those. When white America gets a cold, Black America will get pneumonia. So just something to think about.
Thank you, Jessica. And I guess the next question I would like to pose to the group is, what are the needs that you are seeing right now that you can solve within your own organization, that maybe you need some support to develop strategies, or that we could get together to solve them? Are there any of those?
Hey, Caroline. So I just wanted to say I second what Jessica is saying. I've been thinking about that need also, because I'm not sure, you know, it's some businesses are going to be eligible and are going to be able to manage having a loan. But I was just thinking about the same. Some of the community foundations here have sent us emails about asking what is that we need, what is that the people that you know, we're serving need, and they're saying, and I was thinking, well, what if we could do some grants for them? But I also feel like we're so early in this that I wonder how is that, I mean, because like there's one foundation that is asking us to respond by Monday. And I'm like, how do I assess, you know, like come up with like a way of assessing the needs so that they were asking for the right amount or coming up with the right program for doing all of that. It's like, how do you assess? Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on.
Thank you, Carmen. And I think it's right now what you're saying is completely right. We all recognize that this is going to take longer than just the 3 weeks we're home or just the next 6 months. And it is really hard right now to estimate what the time would be, how much money will be needed or how much time we'll need to kind of recover. So, and I think right now I think it's one step at a time. And I think for now, like doing like yesterday we were talking again, we're bringing things that we heard yesterday from the webinar that we had that we'll be happy to share with you too if you were not there. But the fact that just started applying and forecasting for 3 months chunks of time would be helpful. Because it might take longer, obviously, but you can, in 3 months it could be reconsidered. But I agree in terms of grants. I think it'll be helpful to have that information to consider at least 3 to 6 months to offer patients in grants. Anybody else has any other comment on that? Heidi, you're saying anybody?
There's a good comment in the chat. It's important to have a thorough risk assessment of a company's debt and financial leverage. Todd, if you want to share your set of questions, that would be great. We're also looking at that in terms of the Sba Disaster Loans as well. That's going to be part of our part 2. What actually to give a quick way to maybe assess if someone is ripe for a Sba disaster loan, if they have any chance. We don't know their acceptance rate. This is like we said, I don't even think they know their acceptance rate right now. If you look at traditional disasters, at least I saw an article about the Chico fire. It was about 10% of the loans, the business loans, were approved. Who knows what's going to happen if they're on these SBA loans, but if we assume a conservative position on that, we can assume that that's not going to fit all the needs. And so you want to be able to assess whether or not somebody should take out more debt or not. But again, yeah, I hear what everybody's saying. And I even think the government here, believe it or not, I feel like I hear the government is hearing that heard ideas of, Andrew Wang's proposal of universal basic income being floated. So I mean, it's not an impossibility that that's what happens. And Ed just put on a longer term. Yeah, longer term makes the monthly payments a lot more feasible.
I wanted to ask a question to the micro lenders who are on the call. Are you starting to talk to your corporate and other investors about providing more flexible terms on the investments you already have so that you can then offer those to your borrowers? Are you starting to have those conversations? Is that a role that would be helpful for Cameo to talk to investors and see what level of flexibility could be provided on any debt that's being invested into your organizations?
We are not yet. We don't have a lot of debt for in our small business loan program. We might do that soon, but we're not there yet.
Anybody else? And even for business technical assistance providers, I think it'll be good how you are reframing your current programs. How has the conversation been with funders? No thoughts?
So this is Luis Rodriguez. I can tell you guys just an overarching and simple answer is yes. We are having those conversations. We're obviously creating stress test scenarios, trying to understand how bad, quite frankly, this can get, and then subsequently going back to some of the either debt facilities, investors, and the like, in anticipation of what it could look like, and make sure that we have those conversations. Because the reality is, the sooner you have them, the better. Because otherwise you don't want to be in default of any of your contractual obligations or triggers that could really, put you in a bad position. So the sooner you start to engage, the better.
Thank you, Luis. Could you introduce yourself to the group? Who are you with?
Opportunity Fund.
Thank you, Luis.
Yeah, and this is Maribel from Inclusive Action. I think similarly, we reached out to some investors and made sure that we were able to meet our own financial obligations. We've been fortunate in getting some feedback from a lot of philanthropy who's also voiced interest in, rather than investing in debt capital, funding some of our technical assistance through grants, which would hopefully go back to our clients to assist. So I think in reaching out, it also creates an opportunity to maybe shift away from debt capital and maybe more towards grants to help the populations we work with.
Thank you, Maribel. Any other thoughts on this? It's really hard not to see the faces, at least of the majority of people in the call. I can't really see who would be interested in talking here. We do have a couple of funders also in the call, I think, and I don't know if it'd be interesting also to share what would be the best approach. I know I've heard a lot of them. I've talked to several in the past couple of days actually, and it feels like weeks, but and we've heard about they're open to really make sure that they're being useful and helpful, and but they're also receiving a lot of requests right now. So maybe it'll be interesting also to discuss with them in the call and just hear from you guys as resource providers, how would be the best approach for them to connect, and how what would be the best strategy to really be effective in the support. So feel free. This is really a conversation. We want to make sure that you are free. I know you can raise your hand and just discuss what is really concerning you in your organization right now. What are the needs that you might have currently that have not been able to solve on your own, and we could be helpful. So please feel free to discuss that in the call.
This is Susan, and I work with Cameo. I'm also wondering, Caroline, if there's TA providers on the call that are considering maybe renegotiating their scope of work on TA provision with their funders, because as we can imagine right now, the normal like business planning course or some of the standard marketing, there might be some things that don't make sense now, and different types of strategies and services that might make sense. And I'd be curious if anyone's thought about having those conversations. How are they going? Is there some way Cameo can help with those conversations for the TA providing?
I don't know if Kara, I know we at Cameo are approaching we had a Prime grant, and one of the things we're doing is asking to switch one of our activities to do some more online training to be able to offer the class that we offered in the fall. We weren't planning on doing another one through Prime, but I think we're going to plan on doing some of that programming. Is anybody else approaching their funders? Some of that, maybe your funding isn't tied to a specific course topic or what have you, but
yeah, I don't want to dominate the conversation, but I'll just tell you real quickly what we're doing, because we're an organization with a lot of different types of TA, and we are very quickly reorienting our organization's programming around responding to the crisis needs of our clients, both small businesses and tenants and workforce and all of the various programs that we do. And we're trying to get a very clear idea of where we want our programming to focus on, and then going to our funders to say, this is where we need to focus, and having leading the conversation like that, as opposed to getting permission and then trying to figure out how to pivot. We're going to them to say, this is what we know we need to be doing right now. And we just want to make sure that you are comfortable with us pivoting this way. We don't anticipate any of our funders saying, well, no, you need to keep just focusing on, business planning workshops right now. We don't anticipate any of that.
And what is the response been, Nathaniel?
We haven't gone to funders yet. This is a week of like pivoting a pretty large organization very quickly.
Sure.
I think for us right now, one of the things that we are really focused on as well is the support that our staff need. Obviously, we're all feeling so much stress, and we are very clear about the fact that one of the things that we can do to mitigate some of that stress is to, as quickly as possible, pivot explicitly to crisis programming, and so that our staff don't have lingering doubts about whether they're going to be held accountable for, what they previously thought were their programmatic goals and their annual work plan. We want them to very quickly be able to understand, actually, no, like set that aside. It's really okay. There's no pressure around that. This is what we need to be focused on. This is what we all know is really the urgent matter at hand. And we're hoping that will relieve some of the stress, not all of it, obviously, but relieve some of the lingering stress.
I unmuted Lisa. Lisa, you might want to try and chat.
Lisa this is Stacy from C-Note. Can I jump in too for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. Hi guys. Hey Emily. So at C-Note, we're in the same boat as you guys CDFIs are, really trying to figure out what is needed, and especially ironically with the concurrent FA round, looking at how people's strategies are changing around funding that they're asking for, if it's switching to potentially a higher loan loss reserve moving forward, or looking at sort of the long-term effects that this is going to have on your operation. And I know a lot of people are talking about deferrals, which, is so helpful for a business owner in the short term. But, the other thing to consider is what that does to your, as we've talked about, sort of the operation of the CDFI and revenues there. And so we're really trying to understand, and that's why I'm on this call, is to really understand what's needed, because we're really trying to be proactive out there in the investor community and figure out what their comfort level is with us, making adjustments or altercations to our portfolio. And so the more information you can provide us, and I know a couple people have said it, just be proactive as you can, because, since last week, we've been just reaching out to anyone, even if they're not a client. If we've talked to them about applying for funding through C-Note, we are just saying, hey, what can we do? What do you need? Because we have to communicate that to investors so that not only for the current portfolio, but moving forward, things are going to change, I think, pretty drastically with how, CDFIs, for the short-term effects, and long-term effects, and really trying to understand where that's going to put CDFIs, and how their operations will change. So if I can encourage anything, it is just to let us know, let your funders know, because I think everybody is, here taking a seat at the table to figure out how we can, play our part in making sure that, one, CDFIs, are helping their borrowers, but also helping themselves to make sure that long-term they're sustainable in their solutions.
I think Lisa jumped on the phone, so. Lisa, you might be muted. I think you're 650. Okay, you should be able to talk now.
Can you hear me, everybody?
Yep.
Hi. So we're a really small foundation, has funded Cameo for years, probably from the get-go. Thank you, Nathaniel, for the update. I have been trying to reach out to Meta. You also have been a long-time grantee of ours. I feel for everybody. I'm sure you have gotten or seen so many emails about announcements of a gazillion funds. I mean, there's community funds, there's each nonprofit is starting their own fund. It's overwhelming, particularly for smaller foundations, but my guess is that most foundations are looking at their current grantees first, so do reach out to your funders if they have not reached out to you before or yet. But it is unfortunately for us too, it's a bit overwhelming and trying to figure out where to focus. I feel for you, but hang in there. We're all scrambling to to figure it out, as all of you are. But don't be shy. Reach out and tell them what you need. And if you feel, I think someone wrote that they need to lead. I think definitely, like community foundations, I think they're assessing, but don't be shy. Ask for what you feel you need and what you want. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. We've seen a lot of people say, hey, we're struggling to assess where to focus. We're struggling to assess the need. Is it just too early days? Have we not heard enough information? Should we revisit this conversation, or can I implore everybody to say, hey, okay, it's been a week, it's been 10 days. Now I know I have a better grasp of what my small businesses need, and implore you to be proactive in sending that information to us, or we can hold another call, or what would be useful. FYI, it's after 1. We did set aside an hour and a half for this call. Cameo is going to stay on for as long as you need, as long as you want to keep talking. But if anybody needs to go, obviously feel free. So would that be useful? You could type it into chat. Either, yeah, I pledge to send Heidi my information, or would you like another call? We want to try and do whatever it is that works for you all. So what would that be? And we don't want to just do meetings just to have meetings, but we want to do something useful. Or maybe it is nice. It's nice to connect with people, because we're all stuck at home, the most of us. The other people I see are walking around my neighborhood. It's just a hi, you're waving hi basically, and not really engaging in much conversation. So I just don't know where people.
And I think, Heidi, I'm seeing in the chat that Sharon suggested maybe checking back next week. I know things have changed like daily, so we are kind of, I really think this is a testament of how flexible we are and how much we are able to continue providing resources under uncertain circumstances. But I do agree, if you're all we are just kind of solving immediate need. And I think for us in the industry, in this particular industry, and with the micro businesses and small businesses, we are kind of being preemptive because we know in the next few weeks things are going to get worse for us, for our clients and our organizations. So we're perfectly fine to maybe host another of these listening sessions, maybe another update of where things are next week, if that would be helpful for everybody. And definitely we will be able to send information about where we are right now. I would definitely like to share with you the letters that we are supporting in advocacy, so you can take a look at them and just give us your opinion about it. And I love the idea of Nancy, the Cameo office hours. I think that could be a great way so we can put it every week and continue the open conversation to see how it can be of support and better served all of you. But definitely, this is just to hear you and make sure that what we are doing is aligned with what your needs are. So it would be great to continue hearing from you.
Maybe, would it be helpful to maybe structure like a weekly call around a few different buckets, like one being like sharing our strategies, our evolving strategies for TA, for CDFIs, and for just our own organizational reorientation, because we're also having to deal with our own staff and teams and our internal support that we're providing. So those three things, and then a bucket for like policy efforts, especially at the state level, because there's so much greater support at scale that the state of California could provide than a lot of, especially I think about like our more rural communities. Like they don't have the ability like to just come up with a $5 million grant fund out of where are they going to come up with that? So there's much bigger opportunities, especially for our less wealthy communities, to be able to collectively advocate at the state level. And so using Cameo as a vehicle for that is obviously a necessity.
Okay, thank you, Nathaniel.
And Nancy wrote an interesting comment that not to separate the calls, and I agree. And the reason why I agree is because of the work we've been doing with the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and not us working in silos and working together as a group. Even if you are a TA provider, it's really important to know what the CDFI world is doing, what your clients get as far as capital, as well as the policies that are going to affect. I just think so. We'll continue to make this, open to everyone.
And I just also wanted to add that we talked about bringing TA online, and this isn't an immediate fix. And I know we've had a conversation today that loans may not be the answer, but we do have a virtual loan platform we're developing, and it is something that in the long run will have more ability to help people get on board with that. If that supports like zero interest loans or long-term loans, I mean, I think the terms can change on that platform, but if needing to be able to provide that service virtually is something you see in your future for your organization, you may want to talk to us about it.
Okay. I just see a lot of movement in the chat. So trying to go.
Everybody's agreeing with cross-pollination.
Yeah, I think that's good. So we are currently the last question I definitely would like to hear from some of our business, especially from the TA side, like about the classes. I'm really interested in hearing how you are putting together the consulting hours or the classes, or how you are supporting the businesses at this moment. Is that just interrupted, or you've been able to continue offering the programs?
We have been able to continue, Carolina. We have spent this week going online, which has been a learning experience from us, but I think we're definitely getting there, and we're still serving our clients virtually.
Okay. How are you doing it, Ingrid?
We are doing it through Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, we're using Zoom for client meetings and also for classes.
Okay.
Well, I was going to tell your success story if you didn't, Ingrid.
You can tell it, Nancy.
She shared in a meeting just hours before this one that they successfully transferred their existing class into a Zoom platform, as well as started an online Spanish-speaking Zoom class. So I think we just have to try. And we certainly want to repurpose any relationship we have with us now. We just we do a mix, as you know, at the Women's Business Center at Jedi of online and in-person workshops. So we've just turned some of the in-person workshops into a Zoom platform, and we're going to adjust we're going to adjust the content of that to accommodate, you know, these urgent feelings and emergency feelings and emotional feelings about all this, and work with that as well as some of the other things we intended, and possibly morph it. So certainly with people that are already connected to us, listening hard right now, but staying connected and keeping a place where they're going to be checking in with us.
And I think that's true. You know, we had a relationship with a lot of these clients, and I think it's been helpful for them to still continue part of what they were doing while I think it's a bit more of physically distancing each other, but not socially isolating ourselves. So I think it's really important to remain connected with as many people as we can right now.
That's why I like when you put the video on so I can see you at least from here. Salsa, you were going to say something?
Yes, we actually are starting to do the Zoom, and we just had 2 classes this morning. I was first time ever, but it was really a positive experience for the participants. We did break it down. If it's like an attendance of 17, we broke it down to a group of 4 and 5, just so it can be a little bit more interactive. But it was really helpful. And just a feedback out of that, they asked, well, can we get a business licensing class out of this? So we went ahead and scheduled another one for them. So as far as like, it's really positive for it being the first time. Another action step that we're going to do here at HICA, we're going to do short webinars that we're thinking about doing a YouTube site or link to our website so we are able to share more information that way.
Great. So anybody needs access to Zoom, or everybody has already a platform that is using to offer the online programs?
This is Nancy. We've obviously had one for a while, but I am hearing across different calls that if you want to step up and get some kind of discounted opportunity for people, that would be very helpful. Everybody's, you know, you just go online and you can get short-term offers, or like if you're starting out with Zoom, you can do something for 40 minutes for free. But I think there's room for Cameo, maybe the Women's Business Center Network, to do some kind of joint purchasing on that. I mean, they're having a boon from a lot of different directions. I don't know how open they are to that, but
you can also get it through TechSoup.
Yep.
Hey, you want to say something?
What's the deal through TechSoup, Ingrid?
I believe, I didn't personally get it myself, but I believe it's about 50% off of the regular price. So you have to register your nonprofit with TechSoup. Yeah. And then you can go through there and see, you know, there's different options. So whatever would work for you based on your nonprofit size.
Well, I don't want to hog the conversation, but I want to be sure that this group hears this comment and some of you can feel the pain with us. The excitement is around SBA getting the disaster loans out so quickly, and then all the CDFIs and their responses and their risk mitigation measures. I know that already I need more staff time. We don't have a loan program here, but every single person's calling about a loan. So to successfully navigate that relationship with SBA is an important role for us. I want more staff time. So I am going to my foundation funders right now to ask for more money for TA only. I'm also in conversations with designations like the Women's Business Center and the state to be sure they understand that what we're already doing is responding to this current and unfolding disaster, so that nobody's going to start defining different things. I mean, we're going to change the message. We're definitely trying to meet people where they are. So we'll use different marketing messages, but that service is still the same. You know, we are going to get better at quickly assessing people and their current situations, so that we're sort of focused on directing like a short-term answer and a long-term sustainability answer quicker than maybe we have. But so those are just a few thoughts from TA provider about how our time is already filled, and we're only, you know, I don't know how long into this, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, however long we say we've been in it.
I think that's really helpful, Nancy, because yeah, definitely we were talking about, and I think that's part of the second letter I mentioned that is going around, is how we can get some funding for TA specifically, so you can really provide the support that the businesses need. I also wanted to just share with you, I know in the chat, Hannah suggested that we could divide the calls, like talking about government policy and advocacy, also separate for taking all online TA and internal organization, and third, working on current borrowers or deferment policies. I think that'll be a great, that's a great suggestion. We definitely will do that for next time, and you can definitely also, if you're more interested about bringing your programs online, please make sure that you are registered for the meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow at, let me see, what is it, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. for to discuss that and any specific support about moving your curriculums online. That would be helpful.
I popped the link into chat for the registration. And as I mentioned again, I'll mention one more time that we will do a 5-week class if you want to get really good at doing it and professionalize your online training, because there's a kind of a little secret sauce to it, rather than just going on and doing what you did offline, doing it online. Slightly, it is a little bit of a trick to do it really well. And I think Bob Komodo was on the call. I don't know if he's still on the call. It looks like he might have dropped off at this point, but he was on in our cohort in the fall, and really, I think, got a lot out of it.
Okay. Any other comments or thoughts that we should keep in mind by now until next week?
I just have one more thing to say. I just want everybody to give themselves a round of applause and give themselves some kudos, because you're all doing really good work and really helping people who are just don't know what they're going to do with their families. So really, really, really applaud yourself, and try and take some time for yourself and try and breathe. I know I need to remind myself of that many, many, many times a day, because you know me, I'm really hyper.
So feel free to email us. All of you have our email addresses. We're obviously checking our voicemail, but you are free to just reach out to our cell phones, usually, or in my signature in my email. Most of you have cell phones for all of us at Cameo. And we are open. We are constantly just open to talk to you about your particular needs and how we can be of help. And we will definitely structure. We could definitely structure another call for next week. Probably at this time, it seems to work for most people. So we'll do that for next week, so we can continue with updates about what's going on and how we can, how have we progressed and what needs you are determining. Okay, so Thank you so much for coming to and staying today in this call until the end. It's great to see you. Hopefully next time we'll see more faces. I'd like to, at least from here, I don't see you in person. At least I love to see the faces in the cameras. I'm really happy with some of the video. And stay safe and just let us know anything that we could continue supporting you with. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameo.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you next week.
Thank you.